Yesterday we were learning about you have to have a ksuba and what's called ksuba dirchus if a ksuba was lost. There's another type of ksuba that's called ksuba de nimsa batois. What happens if you wrote an original ksuba, kosher witnesses everything, and then you realize there was a mistake in the ksuba. Either the name was wrong, the date was wrong, so then again you have to rewrite the ksuba. But then there's a special text also called ksuba de nimsa batois, meaning it's ksuba that there was a mistake in. So it's similar to ksuba de irchus, but ksuba de irchus is a ksuba that was lost. And this is a ksuba. Now if the ksuba was never kosher, because let's say the witnesses weren't kosher, then you just write a regular ksuba from the present day, not from the past day. Okay, next din over here is like this.
Does it invalidate the wedding?
No. The ksuba does not invalidate the wedding. What invalidates the wedding primarily, it's hard to say invalidates. If the witnesses on the ring, believe it or not, the most important part of the whole wedding ceremony is the two witnesses watching the ring giving. That is the most important part. That makes it or breaks it. In other words, that you need to have two kosher witnesses testifying that the ring was given. And the kosher witnesses means they're religious Shomer Shabbos, they're not related to any side whatsoever, not to themselves, not to the chosin, not to the kala, not to their families. It depends how far, but even if it's a distant relative, you don't use them as witnesses for the ksuba. For the ring giving, for the kedushin. Now it's interesting because in the halacha of witnesses, what happens if I lend you $1,000 and we don't dispute it? Yes, I say I lent you, you say yes, I borrowed. So the witnesses basically are not needed. The purposes of witnesses on most documents is to verify that it happened. Like for instance, I say I lent you $1,000 and you say, no, I didn't. No, you didn't. So what do witnesses do? They verify that the loan did take place. That's why you sign witnesses. But there's an exception. There's a lot about this, but according to the Rogatchev, the way the Rebbe learns, there's two exceptions to that rule. Those witnesses are what's called Eidei Birur. Eidei Birur means witnesses that verify that something happened. By the loan, for instance, they don't make the loan. They verify that the loan took place, or the deal took place, or whatever it may be. By kedushin and by divorces, by gittin, the witnesses don't verify it happened. They make it happen. They make it happen, which means like this. The Gemara says, what happens? A man goes into a room with a woman, no witnesses, no nothing. A man gives a ring to the woman, says, so you're consecrated to me with this ring. No witnesses, and they walk out of the room, and they say, yes, I did it, she got it, yes. It's completely invalid. Even if there's one witness, the Gemara says, La halacha, it's not even a question, it's no kedushin. So what are the witnesses? You don't need to verify it. Verification, everybody says it happened. What do you need to, what the purpose of the aid is? So the way the Rogatchev learns is by those two things, the witnesses are part of making it happen. In other words, just like the chosin, the boy has to give the girl a ring, part of the process, not to verify the process, it's called Eidei Kiyum. They actually make it happen. So when the witnesses testify on the ring, it's not that they're verifying that it happened. That's part of the process of making the kedushin happen. So that's the most important part of the wedding, by the way. According to halacha. You need other stuff too, but
what about those three?
Even kesef, you need witnesses. Shtari, you need witnesses. Even beer, you need Eidei Yichud outside the room. So you always need, without Eidim, it's not valid.
So what's the reason it's wrong to propose with the ring? Because that's just, if there's no Eidim.
Because you don't know who's watching. You don't know who's looking around. There were cases by the way, and this happens amongst teenagers every so often. You have a group of boys and girls, and they get a little tipsy, not drunk, that they don't know what they're doing. And a boy will give a girl in the group, let's say there's 5 boys and 5 girls, and a guy, it happens, by the way. The boy will tell to the girl, Ariat Mukadesh, and you give her something. It doesn't have to be a ring, it could be something half the valuable of a pruta, of a few cents.
It's a joke.
And yeah, but they're watching it, and they're kosher witnesses. So then you have a big problem. I mean, the Rabbanim try to find loopholes, but sometimes they would have to either get married or give a get and whatever.
It happened in my school and they got killed.
I'm saying it happens by the high schools.
Ethically, like
No, because she accepted it.
he was joking, no?
He said it seriously, and she accepted it seriously. Later you could say he's a joke. The question is, does that undo what you did? After you did the Kiddush, you can't say, oh, I didn't mean it. You did it. Okay, so when they have these plays, they make sure that they don't give any Kiddushin whatsoever. They don't, because if not, you have a big shaila if they got...
It's not Shabbat, then it's not a problem.
Yeah, but how do you know? Maybe it's, as the Gemara says the expression, maybe Shamiyash Pruta, Shava Pruta B'Madai, maybe in India it's worth a Pruta, or wherever Madai is, whatever country it is. But people have to be careful with this.
So if you find out the witnesses were not kosher, does that invalidate the wedding?
Again, are they married?
Yeah.
Yes. Do they need a get? Yes. But what they really need to do it properly, they need to redo I've done that plenty of times. You have to redo the Kiddushin. You don't need a minyan for that. For a chuppah, for the marriage ceremony, you must have a minyan. It's a pasuk in Rus. We learn it out from a pasuk. You can't do a wedding. Okay, now again, there's 2 parts to a wedding. We're jumping the gun, but there's Erusin and Kiddush and Nisuin. Erusin is part 1, which in our modern day chuppah is when the rabbi says the bracha b'rei al gafen and the shekid shem mitzvah v'nalaroyes, that bracha, and then the chosin, they drink a little bit, and then the chosin gives the ring to the kala in front of 2 witnesses. That is what's called Erusin. Erusin means the woman is consecrated to the man. They are not allowed to live together yet because they're not married. But this woman is not allowed to marry any other man unless the guy dies or gives her a get. If they want to break up after the Kiddushin, they must have a get. Okay, years ago, in the time of the Gemara, they did Kiddushin, and a year later they got married. So during that year's time, they were not allowed to live together because they weren't married, because only step 1. Erusin means she becomes forbidden for the rest of the world, except this guy eventually when she marries him. Then you have stage 2 of a chuppah. That's the Sheva brachas. Okay, you have the 7 brachas. They're under the chuppah. By Svardim, they have a minute, they wrap them in a talus. That's the yichud by Svardim. They wrap them in a talus, which is the yichud. But that nisuin, that allows the man and the woman to live together. Now they're married. Okay? Now, Erusin itself does not need a minyan. All you need is 2 kosher witnesses. You need a boy, girl, 2 witnesses, and a ring. One second. And a ring. That, again, that's Erusin. So what happens if somebody didn't have proper Erusin, the witnesses weren't kosher, and then probably you can assume the ksuba was also not written kosher, because then they didn't have kosher witnesses on the ksuba also. So then what you usually do, sometimes they can redo the whole chuppah if they want, but halachically what's important to do is they go to the rabbi with 2 kosher witnesses. They say in front of the 2 kosher witnesses he gets a new ring, whatever. He says, The Mazuk Das Moshe Yisrael, they rewrite the ksuba properly according to what the kosher witnesses, and then that's it, that's fine, that's finished. Because the marriage they had already within the chuppah. Sometimes you could redo the chuppah if you want, it's a discussion in halacha. But it depends what the situation.
There's no problem.
What?
What about if they get engaged and then the guy disappears after? Like,
Engaged or kedushin? No. Today when a boy and girl get engaged, it's not kedushin. Kedushin when you give the ring.
but it's not totally married yet.
I understand, but if he disappears, that woman is stuck. So it's called an aguna. She cannot marry anybody. She's stuck for life because the guy gave kedushin, and in order for her to marry, she needs a get, and the guy's not around to give. One sec. So therefore, if somebody, let's say, didn't have a kosher kedushin, so the rabbi won't do a whole thing with a minyan, but they will do kedushin again. They'll rewrite the ksuba.
But when you say Arad Mekudeshet, it's already the Kiddushim of the marriage, no? Or it's
No, it's before the marriage.
What about the children?
The children are kosher children. So nowadays, in the time of the Gemara, they did kedushin, and then 12 months later they did nisuyin. Today we don't want to do that in case they break it up, so we do the kedushin underneath the chuppah. The primary aspect of the chuppah is the second half, the nisuyin, the sheva brachas, and then you go into a room privately with yichud. Now, today, because we do it together, so we need to make a separation between the two parts. What is the separation between the two parts of a wedding? The reading of the ksuba. In essence, there's no reason why you need to read the ksuba. Because the ksuba is a financial obligation from the husband to the wife. What do you have to read it for? He gives her the paper, that's what she needs. She needs to know where the paper is. So why do you read the ksuba under a chuppah? So it says in halacha, because you want to make a break between the kedushin and the nisuyin. Years ago it was 12 months difference. Now we do it together, so we make a break by somebody reading the ksuba. It's interesting, in the olden times, the ksuba, because it's the least important part of the wedding, technically. Again, you only read it because you need to make a break. So years ago, the rabbis, the gabbai over there would read the ksuba. Today, it's a very big honor reading the ksuba because most people don't know how to read it. It's in Aramaic without vowels. So today it's a big, Rosh Yeshivas, Rabbonim, they get reading the ksuba. But in essence, the ksuba is a shachar kibud. Nowadays, it's considered a big honor.
It doesn't have to be in Aramaic.
Oh, good question.
Does it have to be in Aramaic? There's something called tradition. You know tradition? Not that fiddler tradition. Tradition is that it's in Aramaic, like it used to be in the time of the Gemara, because that was the language everybody understood. And tradition, what?
It's still kosher, right?
Rabbi Yosef would use a lot of hacks to release agunot this way. And
Let's not talk about the agunis issue. That's another total issue.
If the Torah was written in Hebrew, is it a good reason to release agunot?
No. The only thing that you can undo the wedding is with the witnesses were not
Is
kosher.
it kosher if you read it just in English? The ksuba.
Alpidin, yeah. What?
What did they do in the old times where maybe there wasn't a minyan or no kosher witnesses?
How old?
What do they do today?
Small towns, right?
What do they do today when a shliach has to do a wedding in a small town when there's no kosher witnesses? The one that does the wedding could be one witness, if he's not related. And he brings along, he gets a Shemesh Shabbos guy to come with him. What do you think they do?
You can't do it on Zoom. Right?
Huh? No. You can't do a wedding without a minyan. A lot of these people that come, we want a small wedding. We don't want anybody there, just the rabbi and us two. And the rabbi is not allowed to do that wedding because a chuppah must have 10 people. If you don't have 10 people, you can't do a wedding.
Okay, Zoom doesn't work?
No, Zoom doesn't work. Sorry.
And if you do the book, it's not valid.
What?
And if you do this on valid.
It's not valid. and you made brachas in vain. The Gemara learns it out from Vayikal Bayas took by Rus. When he married Rus, he took 10 people. It's a Gemara in Ksubis, but it's a pasuk in Rus that the Gemara says, and the Gemara calls the pasuk. Mikan, that you need a minyan for Nisuin, and if not, it's not good. It's not valid. Certain things need a minyan. You don't have a minyan, you can't do it. Okay, we didn't even start when we went to the side. Okay, bottom line is like this. A kohen, because of his sanctity, is not allowed to marry certain women. He can't marry a divorcee. He can not marry a chalala, zayna, mitzvah. Next week we'll talk more about the details of each one. And it's a forbidden marriage for a kohen to marry those women that the Torah explicitly in Parshas Emer, the Torah says which women he's not allowed to take. In addition to that, the Chachamim added one or two things that l'chatchila you can't marry, a kohen can't marry certain women, but we'll leave it.